My sister held the last strip of my passport like a trophy and smiled. "Roaches don't deserve wings," Olivia said, loud enough for my parents to hear. My mother didn't flinch. She looked at the blue scraps on the carpet and said, "Your place is scrubbing our floors, not seeing the world." My father stood by the hallway, not protecting me, blocking me, 7 hours before my flight to Singapore. They thought they had ended my life. That night, I didn't beg. I didn't explain. I picked up my suitcase, opened the one secret they never knew existed, and walked out before sunrise. Before I tell you the rest, tell me, where are you listening from? Before that night, I used to think escape would feel loud. I thought it would sound like slammed doors, screaming tires, maybe my mother crying on the porch like she had finally realized what she was losing. But real escape was quieter than that. It started 5 years earlier, after a closing shift at the grocery store, when I sat on the edge of my narrow bed in the old laundry room and opened my laptop with hands that smelled like receipt paper and floor cleaner. The house was asleep. The dryer behind my wall clicked every few minutes. Olivia's music thumped from the largest bedroom upstairs. The room with the walk-in closet and the full bathroom, the room she paid nothing for. I paid rent for a space that still had a water heater in the corner. My mother called it responsibility. My father called it character building. Olivia called it funny. Every morning, I wiped counters before work. Every night, I took out trash, paid a piece of the bills, fixed whatever password Olivia had forgotten, edited whatever caption she was too lazy to write, and listened to my parents praise her for building a brand. She had ring lights, new clothes, fresh nails, and no real income. I had online courses, rejection emails, and a notebook filled with campaign ideas I was too embarrassed to show anyone in that house. Marketing analytics became my private language: spreadsheets, customer behavior, reports, small freelance jobs that paid barely enough at first, then a little more, then enough to prove I was not imagining a future. I studied after midnight with leftover pasta beside my laptop and a cheap map of the world taped inside my closet door. Singapore was circled in blue ink, not because I wanted to run away from America, because I wanted to run toward a life where nobody looked at me and saw free labor. When the offer finally came, I read it 3 times in the break room, standing beside a vending machine that hummed like it was holding its breath. Relocation support, a real salary, a marketing operations role that used everything I had taught myself while my family laughed. I told them only what they needed to know, that I had accepted a job abroad, that I would be leaving soon. My father barely looked up from his plate. "You'll come back when it gets hard." My mother pressed her napkin to her mouth. "Just don't embarrass us over there." Olivia smiled at me across the table, not happy, not proud, hungry. That was the first time I understood something cold and clear. They were not afraid I would fail. They were afraid I would leave and survive. The day before my flight, the whole house felt like it was listening. Every cabinet closed too hard. Every footstep paused outside my door. Even the air smelled tense, like lemon cleaner and something burned at the bottom of a pan. I had one small suitcase left in my room. Just clothes, toiletries, and a pair of black heels wrapped in a towel. The real luggage was already at Maya's apartment across town. My important papers were not in the house. My flight details were not on the kitchen calendar. Lauren had texted me that morning, "I'll be outside at 3:15. Don't come out until you see my headlights." I read that message 3 times, then deleted the preview from my screen. At dinner, my mother barely touched her food. "So," she said, cutting a piece of chicken into tiny, angry squares, "who's going to help around here when you're gone?" Olivia leaned back in her chair. "Exactly. I have 3 videos to post next week. Sophia always checks my captions. You can write your own captions," I said. She blinked at me like I had spoken another language. My father set down his fork. "Don't start acting superior because some company overseas made a mistake." It wasn't a mistake. His eyes lifted slowly. "You worked at a grocery store." "Sophia, let's stay realistic." I felt the old shame crawl up my neck, but it didn't get as far as my mouth. I had spent years swallowing words in that kitchen. That night, I saved them. My mother sighed. "Singapore is far. expensive, different. What happens when they realize you're not what they expected? Olivia smiled into her water glass. Maybe they'll put her on cleaning duty. No one laughed out loud. That made it worse. After dinner, I washed the plates because my mother left them stacked beside the sink like a final test. The water ran hot over my hands. Upstairs, Olivia's door opened and closed. My father's voice murmured in the hallway. My mother answered too softly for me to catch the words. Then I heard the shredder. At first, I thought it was Bill's. My father liked destroying old papers in dramatic little bursts, like the machine proved he controlled something, but the sound kept going. Longer, thicker, wrong. I dried my hands on a rough dish towel and walked into the living room. Olivia stood beside the shredder with my passport in her hand. The cover was bent backward. The first pages were already gone, chewed into blue and white strips spilling into the bin. My photo page trembled between her fingers. My mother stood near the fireplace, calm as Sunday morning. My father was by the hallway, not surprised, waiting. Olivia looked up and smiled. "There," she said. "Problem solved." And in that second, I understood. This was not panic. This was not anger. This was a family decision. For 3 seconds, I could not breathe. Not because I believed they had won, because a part of me, the smallest and oldest part, still wanted one of them to stop it. I wanted my mother to say my name like a mother should. I wanted my father to take the passport from Olivia's hand and ask her what was wrong with her. I wanted Olivia to look scared, ashamed, human. But Olivia only laughed. She lifted a strip of blue paper from the shredder bin and let it fall. "Roaches don't deserve wings," she said. My mother finally spoke, her voice smooth and cold. "Your place is scrubbing our floors, not seeing the world." The words landed harder than the passport, because the passport was paper. That sentence was the whole truth of my childhood. I looked down at the carpet. Thin pieces of my face were scattered near Olivia's shoes, my eyes, my signature, the little photo I had hated because I looked tired in it, all of it cut into pieces, and suddenly I was 16 again, standing in a bathroom stall while girls at prom whispered about the dress Olivia had ruined with scissors. I was 18, refreshing an application portal that would not open because my login had been changed. I was 22, staring at a portfolio box soaked through after Olivia accidentally left it near the back door in the rain. I was 25, listening to my boyfriend repeat the things my mother had told him, his face full of pity, like I was something unstable he needed to escape. Every time I had cried, every time they had called me dramatic, every time I had rebuilt in secret. That was the part they never understood. They taught me how to survive them. I slowly reached for my phone. Olivia's smile sharpened. "Calling the airport, no. Your little company, no." My father stepped forward, then put the phone down. I looked at him, really looked at him. The man who knew how much I paid toward the bills but did not know the name of the role I had accepted. The man who could tell Olivia's ring light size, but not the city where his oldest daughter was about to start over. I unlocked my screen. Not fast, not scared, just enough for them to see I was not shaking. The security camera app opened with a small gray icon. My father's cameras, the ones he installed after accusing me of taking cash from his desk, even though we all knew Olivia had borrowed it for another failed idea. The living room feed loaded. There it was. Olivia holding my passport, the shredder running, my mother watching, my father standing there, every word clear, every laugh saved. Olivia's face changed first. "What is that proof?" I said. My mother's wine glass lowered an inch. I tapped once, and the saved copy appeared in a secure folder with the other things they thought I had forgotten. Screenshots, records, bills, payments, messages. Nothing dramatic, nothing edited. Just enough truth to keep them from turning me into the villain after I left. My father's jaw tightened. "You've been collecting things against your own family." "No," I said. "I've been protecting myself from people who keep calling harm family." For the first time that night, no one had an answer. I slipped the phone into my pocket and looked at the shredded passport one last time. They had destroyed the document they could reach, but the real one was already somewhere safe. My father was the first one to recover. He always was. Harold Reed had built his whole life around sounding calm when he was cornered. He straightened his shoulders, pulled his chin back, and looked at me like I was still a child standing in the kitchen with a broken plate in my hands. You think a little video changes anything, he said. It changes what you can lie about. My mother made a sharp sound. Sophia, just my name. Soft, warning, like she could still turn me back into someone who apologized for bleeding on the knife. Olivia crossed her arms. You can't go anywhere without a passport. I looked at the shredder bin. My American passport sat inside it like a dead bird, shredded blue wings buried under white strips of paper. You're right, I said. I can't travel with that one. Olivia smiled again, but it was thinner now. Exactly. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, good thing it's not the only one. The room changed, not loudly. There was no thunder, no glass breaking, no dramatic music. Just my mother's fingers tightening around her wine glass, my father's eyes narrowing, Olivia's mouth opening a little, then closing again. What did you just say? Harold asked. I said that passport is not my only way out. That's impossible, Olivia said. It isn't. My father stepped closer. Do not play games with me. I'm not. I became eligible for a second passport through family history. I filed the paperwork years ago, quietly, legally. It was approved last month. My mother's face went pale in patches. You never told us. No, I said. I learned not to. Olivia laughed once. Too loud and too fake. She's lying. She has to be lying. I turned my phone around just long enough to show them a photo of the passport cover, then locked the screen before anyone could reach for it. Olivia lunged half a step. My father's hand shot out, not to stop her from grabbing my phone, but to keep me from moving away. I looked at his hand. He lowered it. Where is it? He asked. Somewhere you can't touch. His face hardened. I'll call the airline. Go ahead. That stopped him. I watched the thought move across his face, the calculation, the missing pieces, the little blanks he had never bothered to fill. What airline? I asked. He said nothing. What time does my flight board? His jaw flexed. What name is on the booking? What confirmation number? Which airport terminal? Olivia looked at him, waiting for him to answer. He could not. I felt something inside me loosen. Not joy, exactly. Something cleaner, something colder. You didn't know because you never asked, I said. 5 years. I worked late shifts, studied after midnight, took freelance work at a folding table in a laundry room, and not one of you asked what I was building. You only noticed when it meant I might stop being useful. My mother's eyes filled suddenly, but not with regret, with inconvenience. Family is supposed to need each other, she said. No, family is supposed to care about each other. Need is what you call it when you want labor without respect. Olivia's face twisted. Oh my God, listen to you. One job and suddenly you're better than us. No, I said. I was never better than you. I was just never beneath you. That hit her. I saw it. For years. Olivia had lived off the space between those two ideas. She needed me below her. She needed my tired uniform, my small room, my quiet yes, because without them, she had nothing to stand on. My father reached for his phone. I'm calling this in, he said. I'll report the passport stolen, damaged, whatever I need to say. Careful, I said. He paused. I pointed toward the shredder. That passport wasn't stolen. It was destroyed in this room, on camera, with audio, by Olivia. While both of you watched, my mother's voice cracked. Are you threatening your own parents? No. I'm telling you the truth before you make another mistake. You recorded us, Olivia snapped. You recorded yourselves. Dad installed those cameras to watch me. Harold's face reddened, because money was disappearing. Money. Olivia took for another online idea that died in 2 weeks. Olivia jerked back like I had slapped her. My mother whispered, That is enough. No. I said. Enough was years ago. And once I started, I could not stop. Not because I was out of control, because I was finally telling the truth in the room where they had buried it. Enough was charging me rent for a laundry room while Olivia lived upstairs for free. Enough was making me cover bills, then calling me selfish when I saved anything. Enough was laughing at my courses. Enough was ruining my applications, my portfolio, my relationships, then telling me I was too sensitive. My father pointed at the door. "You walk out tonight. You are not welcome back." I almost smiled, not because it was funny, because he still thought that house was a prize. I looked past him at the hallway, at the framed family photos where Olivia always stood in the middle, at the polished floor I had scrubbed until my knees ached, at the staircase that led to her big bedroom and my converted laundry room. "I have not felt welcome here in years," I said. My mother set her glass down too hard. "You will regret this when Singapore gets hard." "Maybe." That surprised her. I let it. "Maybe I'll be lonely. Maybe I'll mess up. Maybe I'll cry in a tiny apartment with no one to call. But at least every hard thing there will belong to me. It won't be something you handed me and called love." For the first time. My mother looked away. Olivia stepped forward. Desperate now. "What about my content?" I stared at her. She blinked fast. "I have posts scheduled. I don't know how to fix the captions the way you do, and the brand email." "You always make those sound professional." There it was. Not. "I'm sorry." Not. "Please don't go." Not. "I shouldn't have destroyed your passport." Just, "Who will keep my pretend life running?" I picked up the small suitcase by the couch. It felt lighter than it should have. Maybe because everything heavy had already been carried for years. "Do it yourself," I said. Olivia's lips parted. "You can't just leave. I can." My phone buzzed in my pocket. Lauren, outside. I moved toward the door. My father blocked me. He was taller than me, broader. For most of my life. That had been enough. He never had to touch me. He only had to stand in the way. And I would shrink. But that night, I did not shrink. I looked him straight in the eyes. "If you keep me from leaving," I said quietly, "that becomes part of the record, too." His face changed, a small flicker of fear. Not of me, of consequences. He stepped aside. My mother started crying then, sudden and loud. "Sophia, don't do this to us." I stopped with my hand on the doorknob. For 1 second, the old part of me turned around. The daughter who wanted a mother. The girl who kept waiting for a father. The sister who thought if she worked hard enough, maybe Olivia would stop needing to hurt her. Then I saw the shredder again, the scraps of my passport, my face in pieces on their carpet, and I let that girl rest. "You did this," I said. "I'm just leaving." I opened the door. Cold night air rushed in, clean and sharp. Lauren's headlights glowed at the curb. I could smell rain on the pavement. Behind me. Olivia started crying now, too, but hers sounded angry, embarrassed, cornered. "You'll fail," she called. "You'll come crawling back." I turned one last time. "Maybe," I said, "but I would rather fail reaching for the world than succeed at scrubbing your floors." Then I walked out. The suitcase wheels clicked over the porch. Down the path. Across the driveway. Each little sound felt impossible. Ordinary. Sacred. When I slid into Lauren's passenger seat, she did not ask questions. She just looked at my face, then at the house behind me. "Do you have it?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "The real one safe." She nodded, put the car in drive, and pulled away. Through the back window, I saw all 3 of them in the doorway, my mother holding her robe closed, my father standing stiff and furious, Olivia barefoot on the porch, still expecting the world to rearrange itself around her panic. They thought they had grounded me. They had no idea I'd already flown away. By 4:10 that morning, I was sitting in an airport hotel room with the second passport open on the desk, not shredded, not hidden under their roof. Mine. I stared at it until the letters blurred. Then I packed it beside my documents, my work papers, and the little notebook I had carried through 5 years of late shifts and quiet plans. When the plane lifted off, I did not feel brave. I felt exhausted. I pressed my forehead to the window and watched the city shrink under the clouds. Somewhere below me, my family was probably building their version of the story. They did. My mother told relatives I had abandoned them. My father said I was unstable and ungrateful. Olivia posted vague little lines about betrayal, like she had not stood beside a shredder with my passport in her hand. For a while, I stayed silent. Then their lies started reaching people connected to my new life. That was when I called Evelyn Price, the lawyer I had spoken to before leaving. She did not tell me to attack them. She did not tell me to get revenge. She simply helped me protect myself. The video was shared only where it needed to be shared. No edits, no drama, just truth. After that, the calls stopped. Olivia's polished little online world cracked first. People stopped seeing her as a victim and started seeing the woman who destroyed her sister's travel documents because she was afraid of losing free labor. The small brand offers disappeared. Her comments turned cold. Her confidence went with them. My parents lost something worse than money. They lost the version of themselves they had sold to everyone else. Meanwhile, Singapore was not easy. My apartment was tiny. The work was hard. I cried twice in the first month, but every tear belonged to me, and slowly, for the first time in my life, so did my future. Years later, I still carry both passports when I travel. One reminds me what they tried to take. The other reminds me what I had already saved. Olivia said roaches don't deserve wings. She was right about one thing. I was never a roach. I was a woman who learned to fly before anyone gave her permission. And if you have ever had to save yourself from the people who were supposed to love you, tell me your story in the comments, then subscribe, because you are not alone here.